What's up? The weekend is here. It's Invisible Walls, episode 9, Trey. And I gotta say, I'm really freaking excited, man. I am playing so many awesome video games right now. One in particular I'm playing that I'm really enjoying. I don't know if I could talk about it. Can
you call it like maybe Chevy Pain?
Or, well, there is that one Guns N' Roses song that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a really good show today. Once again, just like last week, we have a ton of stuff to get through. I think it's working in that we're putting more segments in the show, but maybe not quite as long to keep things moving. I've heard a lot of responses from just people around the office who say they like the show a lot more that way. And here to do it is Daniel Bloodworth.
Valor for life.
I don't know what that means, but
is that too much
welcome
Mag
aboard.
Mag reference, I believe. Yeah, I hope
That's a nice tattoo, dude.
The Duke of GTingham.
Huh?
Justin Spear.
Yeah, whatever. I'm around and I'm gonna talk.
He may or may
It'll
not
be
talk.
Great. No, I always talk.
Patrick Morales is on the show today.
Howdy doody.
Ryan Stevens,
Yo, yo,
eternal
yo.
sidekick.
I hate that so much.
What would you rather me call you?
Pool boy?
Pull boy. Okay.
No.
Where's your skimmer
You
at?
can call me Ryan.
Just Ryan, you're saying.
Yeah, or the Ryan.
How about I call you
Definite
Just
article.
Ryan?
That I sound like Justin.
Just in.
Yeah.
The show's about to start.
Yeah, it was not our best intro. I don't
God.
think.
All right, first we're going to talk about White Knight Chronic. It sounds like something I got from the dispensary last night.
Better hit it up while they're still legal.
Yeah, before they're all gone. More appropriately, White Knight Chronicles. Now, I think I've seen this game for 3 years now. I saw it at
about that
TGS.
long, yeah.
It's actually Duke Nukem Forever. It's really
Yeah.
changed.
It's finally coming out. So it's
Yeah.
finally here. It's been released in Japan for a while. Finally
Indeed.
coming out in the U.S. First of all, have they changed anything other than the obvious conversion to English with this new version?
Well, they're dubbing it the international version, and I think mainly what they're adding is just added stuff for online. You have in-game voice chat now, which was something that people wanted. And they just kind of fleshed it out with all these other features that make the online kind of connectivity a little smoother. If I had to cut to the chase with this game, I'd say that it's a pretty average single-player RPG that is saved by a pretty good online component.
Now, one of the few exclusive RPGs to the PlayStation 3, so this game
That's
is a
right.
big deal.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny because so far in this generation, the 360 has been kind of leading by a little bit in terms of Japanese RPGs.
Which is odd.
Yeah, of course, most of those are starting to migrate to the PS3 now, but it's kind of interesting to see them have the early start for JRPGs.
Demon Souls.
Yeah, Demon Souls will forever be the one lead that PlayStation
We're actually getting
has.
married next week.
But yeah,
How did you propose, Steven?
Well,
Just tell them to touch the
I had a
demon
ring of
inside him.
mana regen and slipped it on, and the game was
Then
mine.
you slipped it in.
Yeah. Oh, that's
But yeah, White Knight Chronicles, I'd say it's nothing too special if you just play it single player.
But it's secretly an offline MMO, right?
It is an
that's
offline
important to
MMO
know.
that incidentally does go online.
Are there
as well,
mags?
yeah. No mags, but it's funny that you mentioned that because a lot of comparisons can be drawn between this and, say, PSO.
It's like what?
Well, it's a lot less
4-player?
actiony, though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
the gist of online here is that in the single player game, you create your own avatar, which is kind of particular for a JRPG. You normally don't do that.
Right.
So that's kind of a cool thing they do there. And with this avatar, you can go online and do side quests with your friends or people you meet up online. There's like a neat little town building metagame that you could do where the more you accomplish in side quests in the single player campaign, the more fleshed out your town becomes. And up to 20 people at a time can habitate your town and kind of shop your shops, like see the stuff that you've crafted.
Can they chop down your trees?
No, nothing like that. They won't steal your pineapples and like, put up lewd signs or anything like that. No, but yeah, and it's pretty cool how they do it because it's more than just a chat room where you could just meet people online and go, hey, you want to group up?
ASL.
It's actually a completely separate experience from the single player, which I appreciate.
The White Knight, the big catch, I guess, or the big selling point of this is the White Knight. You transform into this huge beast
Yeah.
Well, I want to say it's a beast. It's a big freaking knight. But how does that work? What relegates whether you can turn into the knight? What happens when you do turn into the knight?
The way that you turn into the knight is basically as battles progress, you earn something called action chips. So as you
It's
gain
like your
these-
rage meter or something.
yeah,
I
it's
think,
like your
or-
rage meter. I
or
guess.
just something naturally as you attack.
Yeah. So
unless you use it up.
as you get more action chips, you can eventually use them to turn into the White Knight, which will last you for that one battle. And as soon as the battle's done, your action chips deplete, you're out of the knight, and then that's it.
Can you do that online?
You can't actually. It's
Can or can't? I'm sorry.
Cannot.
That's kind of ironic. For a game called White Knight Chronicles, you can't turn into the White Knight online.
The idea is that the knight chooses who gets to pilot it.
So it doesn't want you. It wants the main
yeah,
character.
you're Joe Schmo basically.
Yeah, you're just-
So is this basically like a big robot you're getting into? You don't
It's a big robot.
transform into the
Yeah.
White Knight.
Yeah, it's a robot you transform into. Yeah, but as far as controlling the White
Magical.
Knight goes, it's pretty simple. You get these kind of you get a set of skills that are unique to the White Knight, and we press the button, attack.
Well, how's the loot? I mean,
The loot.
yeah, I mean these kind of games kind of live and die on loot. That
No, they don't.
I think
The rares.
I think this is where the online starts to shine a bit because it comes to resemble something like Monster Hunter, where you do these side quests, and the harder of an enemy you kind of kill with a group, the more rare of an item you get to kind of craft these crazy pieces of gear. So there's definitely incentive there for someone to take on these super hard quests online.
is it actually like cool gear? Like it does more than just have stat increases. Like they actually expand like their move sets or something for like really good stuff. Or
Not in the formal sense. I mean, you'll get a super cool like buff to strength or defense or hit
Okay.
points, but nothing that crazy. No.
Is this game as good as PSO?
Talk about how dorky it is, because the game is supremely
That's hard,
fucking
'cause-
dorky.
By now, PSO seems a little dated
Yeah.
by our standards, but I enjoyed PSO a lot. I think in terms of combat, PSO probably is still kind of more fun to me just because it's more actiony. This has some semblance of action, but it's still kind of like Final Fantasy 12, where it's not really. It's just real time.
what would the better comparison be? Because it's a little more recent. Would be Monster Hunter Tri.
Not even. I'd say Final Fantasy 12.
It's way less action.
Yeah.
Like
But for the
Yeah,
It's a lot less
but for the-
action.
but for the
Circle
online-
range
goes
and
around.
distance and
But-
moving around don't really matter
But for
that
the
much.
online component, I mean,
MMOE.
it's just so it's a kind of non-actiony,
Yeah.
vaguely MMO.
Sounds
It's
terrible.
not turn-based. It's completely real time.
Is this the worst game that Level 5 ever made?
Yes.
Dark Cloud
Considering
1.
their pedigree,
Dark
I'd
Cloud
say
1
it's
is-
not their best. Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Cloud 1 was pretty bad.
Well, not
Dark Cloud
horrible,
1 is like
but
kind of neat.
Oh no,
kinda
wait!
neat.
Didn't they do Rogue Galaxy?
They did.
Yeah.
Rogue Galaxy was.
Rogue Galaxy
pretty-
wasn't bad. It was just
No, Rogue Galaxy
stupid.
was. Well, I don't know. It's
I think
worse
White
than
Knight
Rogue
follows
Galaxy.
right along in those lines.
Well, I
It's
don't
got
think
a terrible
they've
aesthetic
made a
and it
bad
looks
game.
stupid.
I'll say
and-
that.
Yeah.
But I think this may be the worst one that they've made. No, I think the first Dark Cloud is worse than this game.
It was like a launch PS2 game.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
they have an
yeah.
They
excuse.
didn't know what
This
they
game
were
pissed
doing.
me off, dude. Like, you'd work on a sword for, like, ever, and then you get in a battle and, like, it would
Your
break.
sword
and
has broken.
Yeah, and then there was
You
no...
have cancer.
Dims the
There was
brakes.
no alert saying your sword's about to break. The thing would just crack and you couldn't get it back. That just pissed me off.
Yeah, I'd say that if you don't know too much about this game, it might be a bit of a letdown, especially if you expect more from a developer like Level 5. But that being said, I think it's still an enjoyable game if you seek to kind of dig into all of its features, online especially. Just as a single-player game, it's probably not the best that you've ever played.
Taking back G.
Hey, dude.
Enemy bombers inbound.
Now, here's the rule. At no point from this point can we mention Modern Warfare 2. If any of
I
you
don't
mention
know
Modern
why I
Warfare
would.
2, or, because people are going to try to compare this game to Modern Warfare 2. If anyone says that you're getting buzzed and you're booted,
What about Battlefield?
that's fair game. It's not out yet.
Warhawk.
Sure.
Warhawk without the planes or three more people.
If you can compare Professor Layton to Mag, I'll give you a gold star.
They're both video games.
Gold star. Sweet. So, Bloodworth, you've been playing this game.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of this game.
Huge multiplayer battles. How have they managed to corral that many people into a game that isn't just a total cluster?
It's all about the leadership structure and basically the progression of how you get through it. When you first start off, you're pretty much in a Battlefield-style deathmatch, for your first couple of rounds, and then when you do that, you graduate to a 64-player kind of control point map.
Now, talk about the leadership structure.
Yeah. Basically, everybody is in a squad of 8, and that squad can have a squad leader over it, and he can do things like he can assign what's called fragos in the game, and it's basically just
That's creative.
It's
Delicious.
fragmentary orders is what it's for. But basically, if you want somebody to attack a bunker or a control point or anything like that, you just kind of point to it on the map and select it, and whatever they're doing there, whether they're getting kills or reviving a teammate or destroying something, they're going to get bonus experience for doing that.
So there's legitimate rewards for obeying your commander, basically.
Yes. So you're going to be able to get leveled up faster. You're going to be able to get more skill points to put into whatever skills you want and weapons you want by obeying orders and sticking with your squad.
Now, as you level up, what kind of rewards do you get?
You get skill points, which can be used for all kinds of different skill trees. What they do in this, rather than having classes, they have specializations. So the game's actually watching how you behave, and then it will put a specialization that you'll see in the main menu. And so you can see that, and you can say, okay, these skills relate to how I'm playing the game, and you can put your points into those skills.
Now, do you get any extra abilities, things you can strap on your guns, anything like that?
You get attachments, like some things are much later on, like you can get the grenade launcher on the assault rifle, but only after you've gone through like 4 or 5 different tiers of assault rifle upgrades. And of course there's scopes and foregrips and bipods, those kinds of things.
I love those things.
Yeah, it's really, like, you really have to earn all of them, because you only get 1 skill point per level, and you can only respec every so often. You have respec points too. Once you get to level 15, that's when you can actually apply for a leadership position, become a squad leader.
Who are you applying to?
I think it's there's probably some kind of stat tracking in there that puts you against everyone else that's applied to be a squad leader. Of course, only there's going to be 1 squad leader per squad. And once you build up enough leadership points, you can become a platoon leader, which is over a group of 32, and then eventually become what's called the officer in charge, who is over a full group.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Now, how do communications work? If you have 100 and some people on your team, you would think it could get jambled with people talking in their headsets. And
you as a standard soldier, you pretty much only hear your squad leader and the rest of your squad. The platoon leaders and the officer in charge, they have the ability to speak either just to platoon leaders or just to squad leaders or to everybody at the same time. But you don't hear people from other squads unless you're in proximity to them.
And you can eavesdrop on the other team, right?
Yeah, if you get close enough, you can hear what other people are saying. Or if you're sitting on the ground bleeding out, you can kind of hear them talking.
So the review just went up, but let's explain why the review is late. We did not get this game until after it shipped.
Yeah, we got it the day before it shipped, but the servers weren't up yet, so we couldn't do anything.
And this game is huge, and I think if you've played any other similar shooters like this that I won't mention by name, you understand after you play them for a long time that you have to play those multiplayer sessions over and over to really understand how it works, and especially with a game like this.
With
there
the
is no
command
single
structure
player,
and
right.
all the different things. Yeah, there's no single player whatsoever. And plus, we wanted to get up to a point where we could see what it's like to lead a squad, and that's a lot of time investment.
Did you ever send your men to die?
No, but they did that on their own.
What has the community been like actually playing this game with that many people?
Yeah, it's
lots of griefers, or is it generally
I
pretty
have
cool?
had griefers. I had one guy that I tried to show a guy here in the office the game, and he played the beta and didn't really give it a lot of time. And of course he gets into this, and first thing, there's a guy on his team just knifing everybody at the spawn point repeatedly.
Now, was that just an isolated incident, or have
Yeah, I
you seen a lot
haven't
of
seen too much of that, but there are a lot of people out there that aren't using headsets or following orders. So I think most people are going to be served best by getting into a clan and getting with people that actually care about moving forward.
Well, that's my question. I mean, pretty much if you don't have a headset and you like multiplayer games, but you like going kind of lone wolf, this is definitely not the game for you, right? You're just gonna
you're not gonna go lone wolf. You can go without a headset, okay, if you're just a squad member. You can't really get away with that as a squad leader.
But you can still hear the commander's commands.
Yeah, you can hear
the
what
TV
people are
speakers.
saying.
So this is a PS3 exclusive. It is just multiplayer, no single-player component. Can you recommend this game for purchase? And if so, to who?
I would recommend this to people that really want to play as a team and want to go up against another team and test their skills.
It's basically a very small percentage of
anyone
people
that-
who play online.
I think I think anyone that doesn't have a
sadly.
lot of patience is not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to just jump into this and play this and get it right off the bat.
All right, next we're going to talk about a THQ event that Mr. Stevens went to.
Miguel was supposed to go. But then
What
he
happened
he
with
got-
that?
he
He
felt
ate, he
bad.
ate poison food,
Oh right.
and then
Yeah.
he ate a bunch of hamburgers.
Is Miguel a hypochondriac?
Maybe he's hypoglycemic. That's not very nice.
That's not. Well, let's talk about the games that you saw. Dawn of War 2.
Chaos Rising, the standalone expansion.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that.
Like standalone.
The expandalone, that's the buzzword.
I
Right
think-
now you made some brand manager really happy.
I think we kind of know probably about that game a little more than the other one. The other one was Metro 2033. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I can do Dawn of War in like 30 seconds. It's a pretty cool. The initial game was great. This time around, the missions are a lot longer. They're saying like they're going to be like 30 to 45. But there's only going to be about 15 missions. But that's a lot of gaming right there. And there'll be more vehicles and a new class called the Librarian. And the characters they showed us was called Jonah the Librarian, which makes me think of Conan the Librarian from UHF, which is pretty awesome.
Awesome movie.
Oh, again, on the single player side, you can get corrupted, which is cool because you get a negative ability and a positive ability. And they wouldn't really go into too much details, but I like that kind of trade-off thing. Like the original Fallout games had that with traits. Did Fallout 3 have negative, positive?
No, there's
power-ups?
nothing. There's
Yeah, it was
nothing
all just
negative in
positive.
Fallout 3.
I kind
Kids
of like
don't
that
like it.
trade-off.
They don't like the
They
negatives.
don't like the negative. Well,
Yeah.
actually, the kids do like the
It's like,
negative.
how about the good stuff?
And in multiplayer, they added a whole new race, the Chaos Guys, and there's some dude that vomits on people, and
Always fun.
always good. And then
That was Bloodworth.
That was that guy.
this is actually probably the anti-Bloodworth. This guy's like 900 pounds and naked.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Bloodworth's always clothed when
Always
I see
kind
him.
of that guy to dress
God.
himself before he comes to work.
And all the existing classes are getting a couple new units, which is cool. So and a couple new game types. So for an expansion, it's pretty cool. Not just new levels; they're actually adding new design elements.
Now, Metro 2033, that's the big mystery.
Yeah, well, first off, they led us into a deep, dank pit with hired actors, and it was very silly with fog machines and the like. And probably roll some of that B-roll right now, shot by the wonderful Johnny Chang. And I kind of feel like it's the anti-stalker. This is one of the few games where they're actually throwing the word linear around as a positive word. You know, everyone's always like, non-linear awesomeness stuff, emergent gameplay, stigmergy. Here they're like, you're in subway tunnels, you kind of go forward. There's still like little hubs where you interact with people and you have like a little bit of a barter system. And it's really compelling. And you do go above ground. You have to put on gas masks. It has all these cool systems like, you know, you got to check your radiation levels for the gas mask or you'll die. Bullets are also your currency. Pre-war bullets do double the damage. They're 3 times as accurate, but they're what people use for money. And then they have the bullets people are shelling underground, which aren't as accurate and don't do enough damage.
What's the reason for this? Is the world gone on a
Make your own bullets, I guess.
Oh, some sort of nuclear war. And the actual
made gunpowder obsolete?
It's well, the world's gone. I mean, there's
There's no
40,000
production, I
people
guess,
that made
right?
it into the subway tunnels, which in Russia they actually are fallout shelters. So it's been like, you know, decades since some nuclear war went off or whatever.
So what's the object of the game? Is it to make it topside eventually, or
No, you can go topside. About 30% of the game's topside, and it's a slightly more open, but it's still pretty linear.
are there mutated creatures?
Yeah,
topside?
you fight giant rats and flying bats and stuff like that.
Flying
and then
bats.
there's, like,
I've never seen one of those before.
And there's some like psychic creatures, which is kind of the mystery. The problem with the game is if you've ever played games, it's made in, I think they said Kiev. If you've played games that, I've only played a few that are actually made in Eastern Europe, they tend to have really cool ideas, and then they tend to be impossible. I'm thinking like Rage of Mages was this kind of really kind of cool RTS RPG that came out from Russia a couple years ago. You Are Empty, the Night Watch and Day Watch games. Well, I guess, was there a Day Watch game? But the Night Watch game, really kind of cool, impossible. You need to know what the developer's thinking.
The Stalker games were tough.
Were those actually made in
I don't think they were, but they're
Russia?
set in
Oh.
Russia.
Yeah. Like the currency, like I was saying, are the bullets. And one of the first things I asked the creative director, and I'm like, well, how much of the game is like, you know, just making sure you have enough ammo? He's like, oh, there's always enough ammo. We were in a room of professional video game journalists, and people were knifing a lot of things. People were spending their currency left and right. I think, and then the game is really linear and it's also really scripted.
But wait a minute, you said people were spending their currency, but the currency is
No, I mean,
bullets.
like they're shooting it. They have no currency to spend.
Gotcha.
You'll die, and when you respawn, I mean, there's AI and it'll respawn differently, but the game's so scripted, like you'll know to turn to the left because the guy's going to be right there. And there's some quick time events for like with your knife and stuff like that. There's some tiny little design flaws that they said they may fix, but I don't know. The game's launching in like a month and a half. It's kind of cumbersome to switch your weapon. You have to. It's the D-pad, and it will let you switch to weapons you don't have ammo for. And you tend to not have ammo for most of your weapons. And so you'll be like, oh, I got to get to my melee. And there's no quick melee. You have to select your melee weapon.
What?
Yeah, which seems like in this day and age, seems like a kind of backwards design choice. They said they may change it. And the game's linear and scripted, so it has a lot of cool things happening. There's like traps. There's lots of scenery doing things. But you have to do it exactly right. There was a train car that you had to on a broken bridge, and you go on it, and this guy that you're escorting jumps off of it, and you actually have to do it before him because the car falls immediately after he does. And there's no leeway.
What a jerk.
We did it like a couple times. The game does have a good setting though. It's weird because it is kind of linear. You're kind of going on these like kind of straight paths, but it really does a good sense of kind of making you feel claustrophobic. Because even if there's like with the debris and stuff, you can kind of get like kind of stuck. Like you're not going to get like stuck, but you can maybe like a little turned around, and it's kind of a cool feeling, maybe a little frustrating. But they have compasses and maps and stuff like that to make sure you can kind of know your waypoint.
Multiplayer in this game?
None.
They say how long the single player is going to be?
No. I mean,
no co-op?
Hours and hours. No co-op.
Ooh.
But they what I'm really happy about is it has one of those train cars you see in the old cartoons where you hand pump it.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's pretty sweet.
That's the best thing you mentioned about the game.
I have a feeling this is going to be one of those games that's going to have its fan base. The story's interesting. It's kind of.
I think it already does. I've seen a little buzz going.
Oh, and it looks great. They're using a proprietary engine, and it looks really cool. And it's got cool stuff. It's just going to be a frustrating experience that you're going to have to whittle your way through.
All right, now we're going to talk about Apple's big announcement from this week, the iPad. Everybody's poo-pooing the iPad already.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're pushing it as like a thing you can do with games, but...
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, from a gaming perspective, or from any perspective, it's a giant iPhone.
It is.
That's all it is a giant iPhone.
Or is it like a giant... Yeah, I guess it is a giant iPhone.
Not
right?
even. It's a giant like iPod Touch.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
you
they
can buy the
want to
3G
say.
option.
Yeah, but can
Maybe
you
they'll
talk
put
through it?
Ruse on it.
It's
Well,
perfect.
I mean, Ruse is working on off the Surface now. They are putting it on all those touchscreen PCs with the same abilities.
Yeah.
But
Neat.
it was a lot cheaper than I expected, but it's not a computer. It's not even running OS 10, and it's got a closed architecture, and you can play your old iPod games, and it will scale it up, and they're gonna look like crap.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm fine playing a little game on my iPod. I have an iPod Touch. Because I'm a horrible person, but I
Or
have this
because you don't want to
giant,
pay $100 a month for a phone bill.
pretty much. But if I have this giant thing, I don't really know how much touch screen gaming works when it's that
Right.
big.
The
It-
DS
If you get the
It feels-
boobs jiggling app, they'll be like life size. Go to town.
I just think it's gonna feel a little goofy, and they definitely were pushing games. But
Yeah, I mean, the DS works because the touchpad is so small. I mean, you don't have to move your hand that much to go from one side of the touchpad to the other. I mean, that thing's pretty freaking big. You're going to be moving your arm to play games with that. So,
I think the comparison to a huge iPod Touch is completely apt because one, it does not have 1080p. Cannot do HD movies on it,
or Flash.
or Flash, or multitasking, or handwrite recognition.
Yeah, I mean,
it won't recognize handwriting.
Yeah, you can't use it as a
What?
tablet.
yeah,
What?
It's not. It doesn't have a real operating system. It hasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The iPhone, iPod Touch, that operating system for a little tiny device, amazing. But this is not a computer replacement.
It's not.
at all.
Well, who's this for then?
Rich people.
With money to burn.
When something exceeds your ability to understand how it works, it sort of becomes magical.
All right, so let's move on. We just debuted the first trailer for Mikami's Vanquish. What did you guys think of it? Obviously, the trailer doesn't show the game.
Yeah,
Gears of Halo of War.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't even really tell how the game plays by looking at that
Yeah,
trailer. It
yeah,
doesn't
we
show
really
anything.
have no
They don't
idea
show
what it
much. You get the feeling that the little thruster thing or whatever on your back will do something that they're not showing in the trailer.
Right,
so.
there's like some power core.
It
or
will
something.
transform you into a giant.
There's a lot
white
of
knight.
cylinders.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Were you guys surprised that it was sort of set in America and America's under siege?
I like the Hillary Clinton. I thought she looked pretty good.
I thought it was a well done trailer.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, Logan did a good job.
if it
putting
weren't for,
together.
the mech design, I wouldn't think it was a Japanese game at all.
Were you guys
Take off some arms.
surprised that that's what they debuted?
Yeah, it didn't really feel like them,
Yeah.
other than the Piano 3 thing. But
Yeah, it seemed like kind of out of left field for those guys.
The Lich King is dead.
Yes.
Patrick
Ding
Morales
dong.
has spent
The Lich
20.
Again?
Patrick's only 24,
Yes.
but he has spent 29 years of his life playing World of Warcraft.
It's physically
How does that
impossible. It's at an early start.
It's a big deal. Lich King's dead.
Well, long story short, one of the major lore figures of the Warcraft universe has effectively been killed off in World of Warcraft, which kind of heralds this new era in the story.
How does that work, though?
He's basically been a guy that's been around since, I don't know, Warcraft 3 came out,
Right.
2000, 2,
But how do they
3.
kill him off?
Get a bunch of
you,
dudes
you take
together and
20
beat him.
people that play World of Warcraft, and then you wail on them.
Don't forget to apply buffs.
But
Yes.
is there only 20 people that could kill him? Is there
Oh, no.
there like this band of 20 people that are now legendary because
Well, a
they're the
little
ones
bit.
that killed him? Or was everybody able to kill him?
Everyone can kill him repeatedly
But this
on a daily basis.
That poor guy.
Warcraft's not very good with having persistent one-off events.
Yeah, but I guess the people that do get to kill him first get that kind of prestige where, yes, we have the world first, taking down the hardest boss in World of Warcraft.
Exclusive.
So how were they able to know that they were the first ones, I guess?
Oh, it actually gives you an in-game recognition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says world first.
I wonder how many
Or
bands
server
of
first.
people tried to kill him before that group finally did it, I wonder.
Oh, tons of people go for it. Getting raid accomplishments like that is a pretty big thing in World of Warcraft, especially endgame.
All right, so next up, the Battlefield Bad Company 2 demo is out there. I think we've all spent at
Now
least
on
a
the
little
360,
time.
right?
Right? I
Yeah.
think we've all spent
Yeah,
at least a
we've
little time playing it.
Even people around the office, non-editors, have taken the opportunity to just jump on it, and
Oh,
people
Rich
are having
Brown?
fun. Rich can play it.
Yeah, Rich
can play
Brown
it.
vomits
He
if he
can-
plays first-person shooters, but he can play this. So
and he can play
Phosphor
Mag
Engine?
too.
Maybe
Really?
he just got over motion sickness.
I don't know.
He probably
Crazy.
played like GoldenEye on the N64.
No,
That's
that's
saw-
what
what
he
saw
he
him
could
take
play.
some
That was the
pills
last game
before.
He could play.
He could. So then he probably went into Perfect Dark that ran at 12 frames a second and got nauseous. and was like, I can't do this.
No,
we had him
he's
play.
not.
We had him play the Duke Nukem Xbox Live Arcade game, and he was turning pretty green.
I'll say one thing. Once you get sick once from playing video games, you're very weary. Like, the Jaws Unleashed game made me so sick, I laid on the couch for 3 hours, like, wondering if I was going to die. And I was scared. I was like, oh, my God, what
Do we have a
happens
clip
if
of that
I
or
can't
no?
play video games anymore? Like, I literally, 'cause it would not go away. So I can see Rich where he'd be a little scared to jump back in the first-person train, but
Dip your foot in the water.
Maybe the reticle in the middle of the screen
Jaws
helped.
in there.
that might help.
center.
So let's talk about the game. What are some of your observations? I know we haven't played it as much as we played a lot of other shooters, but
Compared to, can I say Modern Warfare now?
I'll make an allowance for you.
Well, it's a little more loose maybe than Modern Warfare. People compare it. People are in there talking about it. Look at comments on videos. Modern Warfare 2 comes up like every half second, but it's pretty different. You're either attack or defense, and depending on that, how you play the game is a little different. You want to blow a lot of stuff up. If you're attacking, if you're on defense, you just want to blow up enemy vehicles, right? So what class you pick, the classes are all, they don't have a ton of classes, but the classes all have cool stuff. Like if you're recon, you can get a sniper rifle and you have C4, so you can blow stuff up. The classes are generally pretty versatile, and the different weapon unlocks you can get. Although in the demo, what do you guys think? It's pretty fun. It's pretty easy to play.
You played the first Bad Company.
Yeah.
Does it feel better?
Yeah, I mean it's similar to the first Bad Company. Their destruction technology is better this time. You can blow more stuff up and it blows up better. I mean it looks kind of
Blow uppity is thrown around a lot.
yeah. And it looks kind of silly if you shoot a guy through a
man.
tree and then the tree like falls over with one bullet. Yeah, okay. But it's cool that happens.
A little disappointing
Battlefield
if you're a
feels
sniper.
a little more.
Yeah, I think it.
No,
well,
I love sniping down trees.
one thing we should say is this is a demo. It's not the finished game. That's the reason they have the big
It is,
demo logo
It is,
on the
but
top
I mean,
right.
they did go through their beta phase, and I think corrected most of the stuff they were going to do. So I think it's pretty good representation of the final product. But I mean, because this game, the more open
If that's
world,
the case, then I have issues.
well, the more open world and the more destructible you try to make a game, the less tight and just precise it's going to feel. But I mean, it's just part of the feel of the game, and I think
But I think you have
killing
to.
dudes is fun.
I think
in
with
the
a
game, that's
shooter,
what
you have
matters.
to nail the fundamentals. I think if someone plays a shooter for a month or two, they can look past some of that stuff. But if you want your game to have staying power, you have to nail the fundamentals. And to me, one of the fundamentals is hit detection. If I
I think
hit
the
somebody,
hit detection's fine. It takes a lot
I
of bullets to
completely
kill people.
disagree.
It
When I
takes a
snipe
lot of
somebody
bullets
in
to
the
kill people.
head and they just shrug it off like it's nothing, like there's
Well,
something
I
wrong.
would say that lag at our office has been a little more of an issue when you had some people playing the demo at home and it was not so bad. I don't know, maybe the server was hit harder earlier. But I mean, in general, the game people take more bullets to kill in general, right?
Right. And I don't have a problem
And for
with that.
for sniper shooting, there is drop on the bullets.
Right.
So if someone's far away, you need to
Aim a little higher.
up. You need to lead your targets a little bit. It's not quite instant. I don't
But
know.
it was-
It's fun.
I had problems with the hit detection on enemies. I had problems with the hit detection on some objects. Like if I'm scoping through something and I should easily be able to shoot through, an object that has a hole in it, like the bullet wouldn't go through. I just had some fundamental issues with the demo that turned me off a little bit. But on the flip side, what you do get is you get vehicles, which isn't something that if you don't play Halo, you don't usually get in a lot of console shooters. And that's enjoyable. I think the
Flying
class
vehicles too. You have the helicopter. You can put gunners in it. So
and compared
The
to
HUDs
like
look really
Battlefield 2, where flying the vehicles would take forever, they're much more user friendly in this game, and that I appreciate. Like I don't feel like I should have to learn how to fly a helicopter for real to fly a helicopter in a freaking video game. I think that's one thing that this does really well, and Halo does really well too, is making piloting vehicles extremely user friendly.
a couple of other cool features it has are you can spot enemies if you hit the back button when you're looking at people. You can tag them. People will see
Right.
a little
Yeah, I like
triangle.
that too.
And it's actually really useful. And also squad spawn. If you're a member of a squad, like if one of your guys is near the front doing some good stuff, you were there with him and you went down, you can go back there. If someone's in a vehicle, you can spawn and be in that vehicle, and
That was
you
a
can just
feature of
you can
Battlefield
get to
2.
the action much quicker. You don't have to spawn to point B and then jog.
Oh, that's what saved
Target it.
Battlefield 2 is being able to spawn with your squad. But the
Yeah,
other
it's-
problem that you found is that
it's
people
really
just
cool. It keeps
wouldn't
the
get
game-
in squads.
Patrick,
or
you played it. You should
I
say
did.
something.
say something.
Pretty neat.
There you go.
But yeah, I kind of agree with Shane a little bit. At least when I played, sniping wasn't exactly spot on 100% of the time.
It's fun.
That's 'cause
though, isn't it?
snipers
It
are
is fun,
scumbags.
but
But sniping's always fun.
No, freaking campers.
yeah. But I touched on this in a previous episode of Invisible Walls. But yeah, I love
that show.
Battlefield. Yeah, have you heard of it? I love Battlefield. I love the open-endedness of the maps. Hopping into a vehicle and kind of rolling along with this giant armada of tanks is always fun. Sniping someone as they're rolling in a jeep and having them kind of flare.
Veer off the road.
And
right?
you can
It's-
actually,
it's
you
awesome.
can kill the helicopter pilot with.
There are lots of
sniper
great
bullets,
moments
so.
in those games. Don't
Cool
get me
stuff.
wrong.
Yeah, cool stuff can happen. But yeah,
But I think overall, the group in general, we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, for a game like that, if it's there's a lot of destructibility and kind of open-endedness, I'm willing to accept a few things that don't line up perfectly as long as the game's fun. So I think it is fun. I guess we'll see in the review, though, right? Just how fun it is on a numerical scale. We'll quantify that fun.
Hey everyone, guess what? Shane's turning 29 again
No one cares.
today.
Today.
So leave a comment.
No one cares.
That's it. That was their public service announcement.
I don't care, and they don't care.
I care.
You don't care either.
No, I care a lot
About what?
that you're still older than me. I was afraid I was going to catch up.
Yeah, it's probably always going to be that way, Ryan.
But I think we do have one more PSA.
we do.
We got new stuff.
We got a lot of new stuff, actually. We have a list of new features for 2010 that's like 25 or 30 strong. So you're going to see a lot of really cool stuff coming out this year. But one thing that we've already launched was Hour 1. Our first episode of Hour 1 was for Mass Effect 2. And for those of you who didn't watch, it's basically the first hour of a game streamed live. And then we have an interface there where you can tweet about the game, you can talk to the producers of the game, you can talk to the editorial staffer here at GT who reviewed the game. It's basically a place for you to go when you're sitting on the fence, you don't know whether you want to buy it or not, to talk to the people who know the most about the game to help you figure out whether you want to buy it or not.
Plus,
And
check
if
out
you
the
like-
game uncut,
Yeah,
too.
and if you're like me, you just can't help but playing Mystery Science Theater with it.
One thing I will say is I have to give our users mad props. Does anyone say mad props anymore?
Maybe Mad Cat.
I
sir.
do.
If you keep saying it, you can keep it alive.
It's the bomb.
Let's keep mad props alive. But I give mad props to you guys, our users. You guys were awesome during hour one. I'm a little nervous about it. You guys really came through. You asked him great questions. You were very respectful. And I think
Except for that one guy.
Except for me.
That one guy got
No, there actually was just one guy that was a jerk, and everybody else was really cool. I know BioWare got in touch with us afterwards. They're like, thank you so much. Your community was so respectful and so cool. It was just really, really good to hear that from the people we work with on it. Another thing you're going to start seeing on the site is review pods. So as you guys know, if you come to the site every day, our reviews are huge. They're 8 to 10 minutes long. It takes a lot of guys to work on those, a lot of time to work on those. And a lot of games kind of slip through the cracks on game trailers. We don't have the time or the bandwidth to review them, and that's where review pods come in. So these are much shorter, very concise reviews, and in fact, kind of like the reviews you might see on Game Trailers TV on Spike. But they cut straight to the chase. They really just hit on the very important parts of a game and the things that are going to really guide you into whether you want to buy it or not. So you're going to see those for games that we normally probably would have never reviewed. We'll get a lot more reviews for DS, a lot more reviews for the PSP, a lot more DLC reviews. You'll see them in the form of review pods. And then on down the road, you'll see sort of the bigger picture for the review pods when we unveil something that we can't quite talk about yet. So there's really twofold idea with the review pods, but the first one that you'll see immediately is that we'll be reviewing a lot more games, albeit in a much shorter format.
There's more than enough destruction to go around.
All right, that'll do it for Invisible Walls episode 93. Once again, an action-packed episode. White Knight Chronicles, MAG, the THQ event. We talked about the iPad Vanquish, the Lich King dying, Bad Company 2, my birthday that no one gives a shit about, and a bunch of new stuff that's coming up on GT. So thank you for tuning in. We do have something special for episode 100. Hopefully the stuff we're working on gets done by then. I'm a little nervous, but it is
If
what
not,
it
we could do it 1-to-1 because you know it's like 2001 is when the William actually starts. Everyone thinks it's 2000.
you're one of those.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
I know you're probably sitting there right now saying, dude, that's 7 weeks from now. What could you not get finished in 7 weeks? Well, you'll see once we show you what I'm talking about. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We love you guys. We love our users. Thank you very much for being respectful in hour one.
Wow. That wasn't me.
Justin just blew you all a kiss.
That wasn't me. I was kissing myself.
That'll do it for this week. Everyone have a great weekend. Invisible Walls is up, and it is out.